All right, so the first lab 1.1 investigation basically is just getting students used to using these devices. I do have plugged in. I'm going to go ahead and power it on. If you hold it for a second, you should see the screen light up. It says DataCollector. Yep, perfect. And that takes just a second. In the previous video, I showed that down on the bottom right, there's a stylus. I'll be using that today to tap. It's just a bit more user-friendly. This should load up onto a screen. You'll see the loading bar. And I'm gonna pull from the bag that was in our kit. This goes right into the back, into these two screw holes. You can just place them right in there. And actually, the way that this sets it up should be perfect for, oh, it is a little glary. Let me see if I can't focus that. All right. So you see that the menu, you've got 4 different options there for students to use. In the lab, their students are going to start in stopwatch mode. And so you'll have them click into there, or if you're short on lab time, you could always just go ahead and have these pre-set up in your room. And so that way you don't have to worry about students loading up. And you saw that took a little bit of time. It's not horrible. The first thing that they use stopwatch mode for, this might be useful. Of course, nowadays we have phones, but just in case you're short of stopwatches in your labs, or you just want something a little bit more technical, this can keep track of time. So really it's just kind of starting, stopping, resetting. It's pretty basic. This is not anything fancy for this screen. The actual lab challenges students for how fast can you start, stop, 13 seconds. I don't know, 11 seconds, I'm getting better. Yeah, 11.11 seconds, I'm sorry. So that's kind of what the initial starting is. So I think this is a good start for students where it's like, oh, yeah, I can do labs here, and ask some questions. Whenever you navigate on these things, the home screen is always up in the top left. So go ahead and hit that. That should bring you back to your home screen. And then your second part of this is using this alongside one of the Photogates. Again, the point of this lab is getting students used to the material that's going to be used throughout the rest of the year. You'll want one of the cables, does not matter, red or blue. I would suggest just keep all the same color throughout the whole lab. And it does not matter whether you plug them into the back at Photogate A or B, it will pick up data all the same. And then this plugs in right there. You can either have these set up for your students. You'll see that this turns green. There are different styles of these that all don't have the light. You'll see this one changes light as I pass through the sensor. Just depends on what type of sensors you've ended up with. That might look different on your end. But I've connected it, and then the instructions tell students that this time you're going into CPO timer mode. That's up in the top right. And there is instructions for students to make sure that they are on interval function. You do also have frequency function, which would be used in a pendulum lab. You do have a few others, so just make sure that if students are getting weird data, they're marked on the eye. And then the Photogate, you can explain with your students that there's a little hole in between here, and that anytime something blocks it, it's going to count up on time. As soon as I move away from it, it stops time. And so basically it's counting, okay, how long is there something blocking my beam of light? When we get to the actual track and car type labs, what I will do is explain exactly how that process is used to measure speed. All right, that's a pretty simple lab to get started. One final note for this lab, you'll see the back page actually doesn't use any equipment. This is part 3 of investigation 1.1, and it's just talking about accuracy and precision. Doesn't need any of the stuff, but it does reference back to the data collector. So this would be a good way for your students to assess, and it's got that graphic, which is also very helpful for students. And so this might be a good recovering of accuracy, resolution, and precision. That's the first lab done. Adios.